Hello, classmates, professors, families, and ICE agents who saw the name Hamza Massoud on the program and figured they'd score an easy arrest. Please rise for a recitation from the Holy Quran. Last night, I was having trouble falling asleep. At first, I thought it was because of the noise, since my bed is located in the middle of the Elliott construction site. But then I realized that I've slept through much worse, like the entirety of CS50. No, it was not noise keeping me up, but a nagging feeling of unfinished business. Suddenly it hit me. I had spent 4 years at Harvard and yet had not completed a single one of its sacred traditions. And so, like Amanda Claybaugh after seeing too many smiling econ concentrators, I decided that something had to change. I tore off my covers, leapt out of bed, and proceeded in record time to complete the holy trinity of Harvard traditions. I jumped into the Widener stacks, peed in the Charles River, and made tender love to the John Harvard statue. Alas, not even the loving caresses of John Harvard could shake me out of my funk. I realized then that my sleeplessness was due to something deeper, a profound sense of regret for all the things I could have done at Harvard, but didn't. I am sure many of you feel the same way. There is so much to do here that at any given moment, it is impossible not to miss out on something cool. And at the end of 4 years, the list of things you missed out on is longer than the list of lazy teaching fellows who haven't yet submitted our grades because they're on strike. You could have gotten brownies at Lowell T, or you could have gotten pink eye at Mather Lather. You could have gone camping with the Outing Club, or you could have gone camping with the Palestine Solidarity Committee. You could have walked on to the football team, or you could have walked onto a team that actually won something. And then there were the wondrous educational offerings. You could have studied physics if you wanted to unlock the secrets of the universe. You could have studied computer science if you wanted to be replaced by Claude Code. Or you could have studied folklore and mythology if you wanted to have cool stories to tell the computer science guy while you're both waiting in the unemployment line. At Harvard, you could have sought the answer to every question that ever crossed your mind. If you were confused about what a novel is, you could have taken a class called What is a Novel? And if you were still confused, you could have taken a different class called What is a Book? These are both real courses. Parents, if that isn't worth $86,000 a year, then what is? Don't even get me started on all the learning opportunities that were waiting for us outside the classroom. Psychology concentrators could have studied Stockholm Syndrome by talking to people who insist that they love the quad. Biology concentrators could have observed natural selection up close by watching the Crimson Key comp. And classics concentrators could have understood the pain, the lived experience of Sisyphus by trying to fit a lid on a Hud's coffee cup. So much to do, so little time. Thus, this feeling of regret, of loss, of opportunities forgone and roads not taken is one that we're used to by now. For me, it started in freshman year. I was constantly worried about missing out and about losing things. Do I have my lanyard, keys, wallet, virginity? Phew, they're all there. To this day, I have not lost one. So, as I lay in my twin XL bed, staring at the stars, feeling regret for all the things I didn't do at Harvard, I began to ask myself the big questions. Is there a God? Is his name Kit Kettle? Why would they put grapes on pizza? What is a book? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what is the point of Harvard? The answer, of course, is to get a job at Goldman Sachs. But for those of us who never went to Exeter, Andover, or drop-in advising hours at the Mignone Center for Career Success, there is also a secondary, less important purpose to our time here. Some of you might think it's to get on the side chat leaderboard. Wrong. Others might think it's to get on the face mash leaderboard. Closer, but also wrong. If you paid close attention, you would know that Harvard told us its purpose from the beginning. Veritones. Sorry, I'm reading from the spring a cappella jam schedule. I mean veritas, truth. Despite veritas being Harvard's motto, we spend a good part of our time here avoiding it. To be a Harvard student is to tell a lot of lies. We lied to our section TFs about doing the readings. We lied to our weird freshman year roommate that there wasn't any space left in our 5-person blocking group. And if you were that weird roommate, you lied and said, I actually do have a blocking group. They just go to a different school. Why then, at a place dedicated to finding the truth, did we so often try to hide from it? I think that in a lot of cases, we hid from the truth because, much like the chairs you're sitting on now, it was uncomfortable. Sometimes the uncomfortable truth was that we were not as advanced as our peers. I remember how behind I felt when I moved into Wigglesworth freshman year and found that all 4 of my suite mates were already running for senior class marshal. Other times, the uncomfortable truth was that our peers kind of sucked. I don't think any of us will forget the day HRO was suspended for brutally waterboarding 12 freshmen during their initiation. Nor could we hide our shame when we learned that the one woman allowed at meetings of the John Adams Society was actually a mop with a smiley face taped to it. Yet, while the truth could be uncomfortable, when we pushed past the discomfort, we started to become the people we were meant to be. When some of you were rejected by HCCG, you became proud members of CBE. When others of you got frame-mogged by the John Harvard statue, you started going to the MAC. And when I realized I was too dumb to study pure math, I became the first person in history to triple concentrate in history and literature, history and science, and history and history. I invite you all to read my honors thesis on the surprising interconnections between Jane Austen, special relativity, and the Battle of the Bulge. My point is that Harvard taught us to treat the truth like the opposite of the faux-ho flasher. We must embrace it. So, in the spirit of veritas, I want to leave you with the 3 most important truths I have learned at this incredible institution. The first truth is that change is inevitable. While we were here, we saw falls turn into winters, winters turn into springs, springs turn into summers, and summers turn into a former university professor. We saw Harvard itself change from one of the most respected institutions in the country into a place that the Secretary of Education thinks is located in Tehran. In response to MAGA's relentless attacks, our very own Dean Khurana changed. The man underwent such a transformative experience that he turned into a white guy. Our president, Claudine Gay, also turned into a white guy. Yes, that's right. Presidents Gay and Garber are the same person. Why do you think they're the exact same height? Why do you think you've never seen them in the same room? But we also changed. When I entered Harvard, I believed that grade inflation was a myth. 4 years later, I have a GPA of 3.968, and I'm graduating at the bottom of my class. Tomorrow, we will change again, transforming from the apples of our parents' eyes into the utter disappointments living in their basements. The second truth is that challenges are ever present. Harvard faced one of the greatest challenges in its history when President Trump demanded that we pay him $1 billion. This, for reference, is the price of one HSA laundry plan. Things only got worse when Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth cut the United States military's ties with Harvard after he learned that alcohol wasn't allowed in Harvard Yard. Trump's funding cuts have already hit us where it hurts. Next year, Yard Fest is going to be headlined by a piece of red spiced chicken. In order to make up for the funding shortfall, Alan Garber, has had to resort to unorthodox methods of fundraising. Now, in addition to renaming buildings, donors can rename students. After several generous donations, my blockmate Eric is now known as the T.H. Chan Eric. My friend Ishan is now the Sackler family Ishan. And my unfortunate classmate Kenneth has become the Kenneth C. Griffin Kenneth. This reminder of our university's financial troubles brings me to a third truth, that despite our differences, there is a great deal that unites us. The head of the Harvard Democrats and the head of the Harvard Republican Club may have different political views, but as aspiring politicians, they both made cringeworthy posts on @Harv 2026. Some of us prefer Hefes and others like Felipe's, but none of us can remember who Larry Bacow is. Those of us in HVAC will go on to work as investment bankers, and those of us in Thud will go on to work as subway bucket drummers. Yet at the end of the day, we will all be in New York City. My friends, the road after Harvard will not be easy. But I am confident that if we remember these three truths, that change is constant, that challenges are unavoidable, and that there is more that unites us than divides us, then we will be well on our way to achieving these spectacular successes that will one day earn us our immortal place in some future version of the Epstein files. But seriously, I want to close by congratulating all of you. My classmates for making it through 4 years, your parents for being done with tuition payments, and everyone in the audience for making it through this speech. As I look out over this beautiful crowd, I see a lot of familiar faces. I see people I haven't spoken to since freshman year. If you're one of those people and you enjoyed this speech, it's been too long. We should totally grab a meal next week. If you're one of those people and you didn't enjoy this speech, know that I've always hated you. If you're Erica McDonald, keep in touch. And if you're the ICE agents who have been waiting for me patiently, I'm done. I'll meet you guys behind Widener. Thank you, and good luck.